Next up, we have our final keynote of the day, and it will be by Kelly Maloney, the President and CEO of the Aerospace Futures Alliance. She got her Bachelor's of Arts from the University of Houston in Radio and TV, and also she got her MA in Communications and Leadership Studies from Gonzaga University. As part of the Aerospace Futures Alliance, she works closely with multinational OEM suppliers and other aerospace businesses to advance the aerospace industry in the Pacific Northwest. And with warm regards, I'd like to invite Kelly Maloney to the stage.
Great. Well, thank you, Neil. And thank you all to the Space Frontier Foundation for having me here today. I want to just say good afternoon to everybody, and I appreciate you coming back after the break because I know it's a beautiful day out, and it's a great venue here, so it's just beautiful out there. Washington State is thrilled to have the NewSpace conference in our state again. It's a welcome event that's becoming a regular event for our state, and we really appreciate that. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about the historical aspects of the space industry in Washington, how it got its start here, and then, and then move quickly into part of what is driving NewSpace companies to locate, build, and grow in Washington. It's very exciting, and it links back to a long history of aerospace in the state. Whoops. Before launching into my presentation, though, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the Aerospace Futures Alliance. AFA is the only association in the state of Washington uniting and advocating on behalf of all aerospace employers to align priorities, advance the industry, and spur statewide economic growth. We have a long history of accomplishing this by advocating for public policy that ensures a competitive business environment and an unparalleled workforce, encouraging the expansion of existing Washington companies and the recruitment of new employers, and by working hand in hand with industry, local, state, and federal governments to build upon our state's century of achievements in aerospace innovation and excellence. One area AFA concentrates on is in attracting new businesses to the state and helping existing businesses grow and prosper. In line with this is the work that we are doing to attract the potential new airplane development by Boeing. And even as Boeing is considering the feasibility of developing a new airplane called the New Mid-Market Aircraft, or is commonly referred to as the NMA or 797, AFA is leading the way to get the design, build, and final assembly in Washington State. We are co-leading the Choose Washington NMA Council, a multi-pronged, broad-based, statewide campaign led by business, labor, and the Department of Commerce, and rounded out by education, economic development, and elected officials. Industry engagement in this effort is essential, and AFA's work includes efforts to strengthen the aerospace supply chain and related businesses. We are meeting across the state with key stakeholders to increase the power of our collective voices and have commissioned a 2018 update to the Washington State Aerospace Economic Impact Report on behalf of the Council. Additionally, the Choose Washington Council commissioned an objective state-by-state competitive analysis conducted by Richard Abulafia of the Teal Group, as mentioned earlier today by Chris Green from the Department of Commerce. Report findings address the competitive business environment that the companies face when considering locating anywhere in the United States. And although the study was commissioned to help Washington win the NMA, the results offer a comparative tool to help any public or private entity assess the strengths and weaknesses of individual states. The rankings methodology is quantitative, employing empirical measures of a state's economy and many of the associated factors that contribute to an organization's ability to efficiently and profitably produce an aerospace-related product. The ranking methodology uses 41 metrics that were assigned to 8 categories. Individual metrics were chosen based on relevance, availability, consistency across states, and potential impact to production and profitability. The 8 categories included in the report are costs, labor and education, taxes and incentives, industry, infrastructure, economy, research and innovation, and risk to operations. Based on these categories, I'm happy to say Washington State came out number 1 overall. Not surprisingly, based on that score, Washington scored extremely well across all categories and was a top 10 finisher in every category but one. We ranked first out of 2 categories, economy and industry, while finishing second in labor and education and costs. Okay, now I hope you will excuse me, but I'm going to be bold and mix together my presentation for today with the theme of AFA's upcoming summit on October 10th. Take note that I am reusing work I've already done, because why build something and use it only once? I think we've heard about that a bit today. But it makes sense, because even as we take a look back at how we got to where we are today, we know that it is through being bold that all of you in this room and those who came before you have done so much and seek to do so much more to advance humankind in space. The theme of AFA's summit is being bold in the age of innovation. BOLD stands for big ideas, opportunities for growth, leading the way, and disruption. If the space industry is not doing that, then I don't know who is. Oh, and by the way, Bob Smith, CEO of Blue Origin, is a keynote speaker that day. Perhaps the primary reason Washington's emerging space cluster is growing into a full-fledged economic driver is because those who are leading the charge are being bold, and collaboration is a part of the secret sauce. Just a few years ago, Washington's nascent space industry was composed of new, never-before-heard-of companies vying to be the first in their areas of expertise. Now, many of these companies have proven themselves galactically and have made a name for themselves. To continue the momentum, there is a need for collaboration. Building on the successes to date, excuse me, in Washington will be easier and more effective with the combined efforts of these businesses. And all of this is relative to the bold growth of space in the state. We're not talking about a new industry anymore, but a thriving and growing industry, where the work done on the ground is gaining traction in low Earth orbit, on the moon, and on Mars, or soon on Mars, I should say. In Washington, we believe in the power of collaborative change. In support of continued growth, roughly 5 years ago, together with the Washington State Department of Commerce and the Washington Aerospace Partnership, key space companies founded Washington's first regional trade group, the Washington State Space Coalition. WSC was convened as a consortium of companies engaged in the exploration and utilization of space. The mission of the coalition is to create a community in which the companies and other entities located in Washington that are engaged in the space industry can thrive. A number of powerhouse new space companies participate in the coalition, such as Blue Origin, Vulcan Aerospace, Planetary Resources, SpaceX, Tethers Unlimited, and Spaceflight Industries. And other companies with a longer history in space and aviation, such as Aerojet, Rocketdyne, Boeing, and Esterline also participate, as well as smaller companies across the state. Raising the profile of Washington's space industry and its economic impact will be a big part of WSC's future work. Without question, Washington State is home to the largest contingent of aerospace firms around the world. As the global hub of aerospace, Washington has much to offer NewSpace. In terms of strengths, we know that there have been significant long-term investments in the region from major OEMs, such as Boeing. As the birthplace of Boeing, the Puget Sound region has been the launch pad for significant investment in aerospace manufacturing, which has included activities in the space sector. This has encouraged the growth of regional infrastructure and relationships to support the sector as the industry has evolved over time. The aerospace industry in Washington is made up of a number of sectors, including the 3 core sectors of aviation, space, and unmanned aerial systems. The complexity of the industry is seen in the further delineation of these sectors by commercial, defense, agriculture, safety and security, and many other economic areas. Washington boasts approximately 1,450 aerospace and related businesses that produce products and services ranging from traditional manufacturing, such as CNC machining, tooling and finishing, to advanced manufacturing, such as robotics, composites, artificial intelligence, and additive manufacturing. Due to its large employment footprint and high wages, aerospace has a significant widespread economic impact across the state. In 2017, the aerospace industry in Washington employed 128,630 workers, paid $11.4 billion in labor income, including benefits, and generated an estimated $66.8 billion in business revenues. These activities, in turn, supported 226,130 jobs across the state, $19.7 billion in labor income, and $89.6 billion in business revenues through multiplier effects. Aerospace is a major employer of high-skilled occupations. In 2017, estimated leading occupations included aircraft and structural assembly jobs, aerospace engineers, and industrial engineers. At the state level, aerospace workers averaged an annual wage of $109,400, and every job in aerospace is associated with 2.7 jobs across the state. In 1964, Boeing built the first stage of the Saturn V rocket used to launch Apollo missions. The Boeing Space Center in Kent was where Boeing built lunar rovers, the very ones that ferried astronauts across the moon. Lunar orbiters, used to photograph landing sites, were built at the Boeing Missile Production Center in Seattle and tested at the Space Environment Test Chamber in Kent. The early days of space in Washington were ushered in by Boeing, but others soon took up the mantle. Now known as Astrotech, Space Hab was established in 1984 in Bellevue and provided space habitat, microgravity, experimentation equipment, and services to NASA during the Space Shuttle era. Space Hab's founder later co-founded Kistler Aerospace in Kirkland with the novel idea of developing fully reusable rockets. Although that project was not successful, many of the company's employees went on to help develop what is today's space cluster in Washington. Linking back to these early space innovators is a touch point for one reason Washington is important to today's space scene. Yet it's much more than that. As previously mentioned, Boeing was and continues to be one of the key reasons for Washington's space industry growth. And forever tied to Boeing is the overall sector and aerospace sector in the state. The Washington State Department of Commerce's definition of Washington's aerospace industry includes a wide range of sectors, from commercial and military airplanes and rotorcraft, unmanned aerial systems and MROs, to aviation biofuels, air travel and cargo, and space exploration. The related supply chain that has built up around Boeing over the past century has become ground support, if you will, for many space companies. The supply chain is a diverse mix of companies that have learned to ride the ups and downs of a cyclical global aerospace market, many by diversifying their customer bases, and some of that in space. And the history of Washington's aerospace supply chain is really a story of the making of products and services that help develop an industry, and that industry's ability to diversify its product and services to other sectors, such as space. The symbiotic relationship between the existing aerospace supply chain and the growing commercialization of new space and historic space companies provides an opportunity for continued growth and innovation. Space's budding relationship with the aerospace supply chain creates a new ecosystem in which diversification and growth can drive economic benefits across the system. And there are numerous examples of these already in play. For example, no stranger to space is Janicki Industries, located in Cedar-Woolley, Janicki delivers production tooling and flyaway parts, including the mass volume isolator designed by NASA Langley and fabricated in collaboration with Janicki. The MVI is a large diaphragm made of carbon fiber composite materials. Machinists, Inc. is a precision machining shop located in the South Park area of Seattle. The company specializes in machining, welding, and engineering of components and systems targeting aerospace and space and other industries. Machinists, Inc. has delivered a number of parts and components to space businesses, including nozzle components, fuel system components, parachute launch tubes, and critical rocket components. Kirkland-based Sistemas Technologies center around igniting solid propellants in gas generators and using the gas to support mechanical systems, including separation systems, ejection systems, pyro valves, and other things that move on rockets and missiles. Sistema supports all of the prime contractors, as well as many new space companies and launch providers. In the past few years, they have also grown their expertise in the area of composites and structures, allowing them to deliver larger systems to their customers. Electro-Impact, located in Mukilteo, provides tools and equipment in two main areas for commercial space. They provided the ground support equipment tool and container used to transport Kepler spacecraft on a C-5 military cargo plane from Boulder, Colorado, where it was built, to Cape Canaveral, where it was launched. They have delivered several AFP robots and at least one gantry system for layup of rocket body parts. Typically, these are cargo fairings, like the base of the SpaceX Falcon 9 cargo fairing. Electro-Impact designs, builds, assembles, and tests in Mukilteo, and then ships to the site and installs there. Toray Composite Materials America supports space in a number of areas, including carbon fiber for satellite structures and rocket motor casings, and in prepreg for primary structures. TLG Aerospace, located in Seattle, is a dedicated group of engineers supplying expertise, experience, and lessons learned from aviation to what they call the new brand of space pioneers. Their proven capabilities include aerodynamics, aeroelastic flutter analysis, and static, dynamic, and fatigue loads, among many others. In addition to the inherent benefits of Washington's supplier base for the space industry, our local educational systems are an essential support for research and workforce development. Said another way, our diverse talent pool is not an accident. Washington is home to two of the best Tier 1 research institutions in the country, the University of Washington and Washington State University. Not only are both UW and WSU strong resources in educating talent, they are both instrumental in the development of innovative technologies related to the space sector through research and development and collaboration with industry. For example, the University of Washington, located north of Seattle, is home to Boeing's Aerospace Research Center. Researchers there are exploring advanced intelligent semi-autonomous robotic manufacturing, which will help increase the quality and efficiency of manufacturing. On the east side of the state, just over the Cascade Mountains, as well as in locations in the Puget Sound region, Washington State University offers students degrees in software engineering, mechanical engineering, and electrical engineering, with hands-on education in the development of unmanned aerial vehicles, carbon fiber composites manufacturing and repair, and robotics. WSU's mechanical engineering program is one of the biggest in the country and is the leading supplier of new engineering talent for the aerospace industry in the Pacific Northwest. And it is the only research laboratory focusing on cryogenic hydrogen and natural gas storage and liquefaction in the United States. Additionally, Washington has 34 community and technical colleges and numerous aerospace and manufacturing training facilities, all of which engage in industry-led training and education. The presence of training programs in aerospace and related fields in engineering and technology provide for a comprehensive pool of skilled labor available for firms in the local space sector. Everett Community College, for example, operates an advanced manufacturing training and education center called AMTech that prepares students for jobs in aerospace, advanced manufacturing, and space. EVCC also delivers customized training to space employers throughout the region in project management, leadership, blueprint reading, and other areas. The Washington Aerospace Training and Research Center, which is part of Edmonds Community College, provides short-term industry-led certificated programs including electrical assembly, quality assurance, and composites. The water has a strong track record with 89% of its 1,850 graduates being employed in aerospace at 110 suppliers. They also provide customized training to space employers. And if all of that isn't enough, other new approaches to workforce development are underway. Governor Inslee's Career Connect Washington is designed to create a strategic plan and implementation for a career-connected learning system in the state. The vision is for every young adult in Washington to have multiple pathways toward economic self-sufficiency and fulfillment, strengthened by a comprehensive statewide system for career-connected learning. There are also a number of other programs targeted directly at K through 12, seeking to develop the projected workers of a high-demand industry. As such, for several years, Boeing has been creating partnerships between industry and academia to increase the number of students graduating from high school with the ability to go directly into the workforce, continue on to a skills training center, or embark on a college education. One area of focus for Boeing is Core Plus, which is a collaborative effort with industry and academia. Boeing received approval from Washington's Office of the Superintendent of Public Instruction to include the Core Plus curriculum in the state's high schools. The program was implemented in 2015. Under Core Plus, students get over 1,000 hours of hands-on training that allows them to develop the skills they need for most entry-level manufacturing jobs. There are currently 29 partner high schools and skills centers. The first full 2-year students graduated this year, and many of these entry-level manufacturing employees will be able to advance into desirable high-tech jobs. Core Plus is a great example of how public-private collaboration can impact the trajectory of a student's career choices while creating the workforce of tomorrow. From universities, training programs in high schools to the business community, public-private collaboration is making its mark on Washington. Raisbeck Aviation High School in Tukwila, the Aerospace Education Center at the Museum of Flight in Seattle, the Center of Excellence for Aerospace and Advanced Manufacturing, the Washington Aerospace Joint Apprenticeship Committee, the Joint Center for Aerospace Technology Innovation, and the Peninsula College Advanced Manufacturing Composite Technology Training Center and Laboratory in Port Angeles are all models of what the private and public sector can accomplish together. Space is a technology-driven endeavor, so the presence of a highly skilled workforce and major technology firms such as Microsoft and Amazon enable cross-industry collaboration and access to a highly skilled tech workforce. And even as aerospace in Washington is one of the primary drivers of why the tech industry has developed in the state, according to the Department of Commerce, it now goes the other way as well. Washington's tech industry is a catalyst for innovation and entrepreneurship that extends to and blends with aerospace. Washington has the second largest talent pool in the nation, with more than 200,000 people working in over 14,000 firms. One area I think I'd be remiss in if I didn't mention are the innovators, investors, drivers, and entrepreneurs in NewSpace, many of whom are the innovators, investors, drivers, and entrepreneurs in high tech. Washington State is home to numerous high-tech, high-net-worth visionaries who grew up in the space age or shortly thereafter and have had, as part of their lifelong quests, the desire to be part of the space community. These people, including but certainly not limited to Jeff Bezos and Paul Allen, have invested heavily in space in Washington. Excuse me. Projections vary by source, but as already mentioned today, some estimates suggest global growth in the space industry from around $350 billion today to $1.1 trillion by 2040, or as much as $2.7 trillion by 2045. Much of this growth will be in products and services accessible to smaller firms, such as satellite manufacturing and services, which have outpaced growth in the sector and represent 77% of the overall space economy. And I am delighted today to relay some highlights from the recent Washington State space study by the Puget Sound Regional Council that outlines the growth in the space sector and aligns with Washington State's advanced economy and the shifts toward highly skilled, knowledge-intensive activities in the Puget Sound region. PSRC reports the current economic impact of space in Washington is significant and growing. Business activities tied to direct, indirect, and induced impacts of the space industry will contribute to an approximate $1.76 billion in economic activity to Washington communities in 2018. The estimated 6,200 jobs in the state supported by the state industry will provide approximately $610 in payroll, $610 million in payroll. In addition, it is getting late, isn't it? In addition, the space sector contributes about $62 million annually in state and local tax revenues. So while the industry continues its global growth trajectory, it is clear Washington State is on track to become the space state. When taking into account the reasons any person or company choose to locate in Washington, we know it's not simply transactional. Sometimes it's about the simpler things in life. To this point, the high quality of life found in the Puget Sound region has been a major draw in attracting and retaining local talent. Washington State offers a multitude of recreational activities, near and far, high and low, natural and man-made. From climbing Mount Rainier, hiking along the foothills, skiing, fishing, golfing, or boating, to name only a few of the more athletic activities, to whale watching, Olympic dive and swim trials, attending a wide variety of professional sports events, lounging on the beach, or wine tasting, one of my favorites, to name just a few of the more moderate level activities, Washington offers fun from sunrise to sunset and from coastline to mountaintop. So as I wrap up today, I would like to emphasize the historical significance of aerospace and space in Washington State, and to suggest to you that history is in the making in Washington. It's in the making of parts and components, in the making of a highly talented and skilled workforce, and in the making of innovative space vehicles that may one day ferry you and me to places we never dreamed, or at least I never dreamed, would become a reality in our lifetimes. Because the space companies located in Washington aren't just making history, they're changing the rules, reinventing the industry, and creating a new storyline, one bold new idea at a time. And with our infrastructure of manufacturing and design, collaborative spirit, top talent, world-renowned higher education, public-private partnerships, investors and innovators, and high quality of life, we are ready to help chart humanity's course into unprecedented corners of the universe. Thank you. I'm not sure if we have time for questions. We do? Okay. Darn. Are there any? No? Good, let's go have wine. Thank you.